Fort Camp. My dad was a pathfinder in the 101st, and I tried to follow in his footsteps. I got all four of my brothers. I would pick them up and we'd cut trees. I own a tree service.
Okay, can I have your attention, please? Excuse me. Can we get going? I gotta go here.
You gotta go.
Morning, everyone. It's kind of weird to say that after all the years of saying good afternoon and dying of the heat, and now it's morning and a lot of you are dying of it. It's running down me. We're going to start our ceremony now. Captain of Formations, please advance the colors. Please rise. Captain of Formations, roll call of all units. Roll call of all units, please.
All units sound off.
Stratford Police on guard. All accounted, present.
Stratford Fire Department, President accounted. American Legion, President accounted for.
Marine Corps League, Houstonic, 1129, all accounted for.
Sir, all units on guard. President accounted for.
Thank you. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag.
On guard. Reset. On.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the national anthem. Okay, there was a little mix-up with the timing and stuff as far as having a chaplain here, so I'm changing it up a little bit. I would like everybody here, because everybody's of a different religion, we're going to do a moment of silence, and you pray to your God, and I'll pray to mine, and pray for all the names that are on these monuments and anybody else that may not be. So if we could have a moment of silence, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Something else that's a little different this year, as you came in other years, each monument had its own wreath. We're going to do that so everybody can see, and we're going to have the veterans do it. First monument, right there, World War I. Bob, U.S. Army guy, member of VFW. Who's next one? The Korean War monument. Who's doing Korea? You're Joe. Right over there. Disabled vets. Believe you're doing that one. Vietnam, Chanka, back there by the police. And our World War II person, Mr. Don Mays, one of the founding fathers of post-9460. And CJ? I see you sneaking in there. Could you bring that wreath up here for this monument behind me? Thank you, veterans, for doing that. I need that microphone. I was going to do something different, put a face and names on these veterans sitting up here. There's more veterans in the back, and I'm sure there's some out there. But if you get a chance, as they're walking out, give them a little handshake and a thank you. Well, we got a big crowd, Mr. Mayor. Looks like the time change might have worked. There's a lot of people. We'll see how many are on the parade route. It wasn't a difficult decision to make to change the time. I met with the mayor and his chief of staff, Mark Dillon, and we agreed upon it. There was really no issues with it. There were no other politicians, councilmen, or anybody else involved. It was strictly the mayor and I, and then I had to go to our membership with our commander, and it passed unanimously, so here we are. We'll see how it goes. I hope people like it. Write letters into Mr. Greg Riley from the Star over there, and he'll print them. You like it or not like it, and we'll see how it goes, and then the mayor and I can talk next year. Looks pretty good, though. A lot's been said. We're here to these memorials here to the people that have died in the line of duty defending this country. There's many heroes. Heroes come in all kinds of packages, short, tall. I was watching some thing on TMZ or something. A cat was hailed as a hero. A little boy was getting mauled. It's all on video, and this cat jumps in, knocks the dog flying, and all this stuff. He was at a baseball game throwing out the first pitch, but he was considered a hero. The one I wouldn't consider a hero was the guy taking the pictures. Why didn't he go help the kid? You know? So, but there are heroes that live with us now. These men on these monuments gave the right. Over to my right is the Stratford Police Color Guard. They get up every morning, their whole units. Some of them, their morning is at 11 o'clock at night. 24/7, they're out there guarding us. And they Coast Guard's up there. Who's from the Coast Guard? Call your friends. But anyway, they get up, they go to work. Not 100% sure they're coming back. Same with the fire department. They go to work. They may not leave the building, which is a good thing. But they're heroes because if they have to, they're going to do it. If people think they have cushy jobs, remember back to 9/11. Heroes can come in different packages you wouldn't even know about. December 14th, 2012, a young lady from Stratford got up, drove to Sandy Hook School to teach her little kindergarten or first grade kids. She sacrificed. She was a true hero. If you're looking any further for bigger heroes, well, here they are, right here, these monuments. Walk around, read the names. Or if you want to walk with your head down, read the names on the bricks. Not all of them are dead, I can guarantee that, because one of them's mine. But these are the people that gave the biggest sacrifice you can so that we can gather here today. There's no armed guards back there that if I criticize the government, I'm going to get shot. This is truly the land of the free. And believe me, that freedom, as the statement goes, is not free. Somebody sacrificed. So as you go about your business today, this parade and this ceremony were not moved to accommodate barbecues, trips to the mall, or anything of that nature. It was moved so we get more people here, and I think we succeeded. And hopefully there's going to be a lot of people out on that parade route, and we'll cheer these veterans and any veteran that's here. So I appreciate everybody coming, and we'll continue now with some of our friends up here. I'd like to introduce the president of the Men's Auxiliary of 9460, Mr. Wiltsey, James Wiltsey.
Thank you, Dick. Yeah, I would just like to first take a moment and thank the guys. There's a committee that actually maintains this whole little park, and I think they should be, awarded, the guys clapped for them and everything else because they were out here all day Saturday working, taking care of this place. They do most of this work themselves. The town doesn't do too much for them, but they're here every year making sure this place is ready for this celebration. And in that, I would just like, on behalf of the Men's Auxiliary, just to thank all you veterans for the job you guys have done, and the guys that are continue doing the work. We stand behind you 100%, and we're here for you. So thank you very much.
We like the auxiliary. They gave us a big screen TV a couple of weeks ago. Our next speaker.
It hasn't been put up
Well, you better get on that. The next speaker is the president of the Ladies Auxiliary of Post 9460. You've seen her here a lot. She does a lot. I don't know how many years in a row this is. Miss Rose Angela Cole.
Good morning, veterans, families, and friends. I have one question to ask this Memorial Day. Has the meaning of this day been lost to the American people? This day is to remember all the American men and women who have made the supreme sacrifice for all our freedoms which we enjoy today. You military heroes gave up all your tomorrows so we could have ours. Thank you. Sacrifice is meaningless without remembrance. There are many families who remember their losses every day. So let's all join them on this day and every day as well in any way we can. Our debt to them can never be repaid, for freedom is not free. This is a poem by Cadet Major Kelly Strong. I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young Marine saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud. With hair cut square and eyes alert, he'd stand out in any crowd. I thought how many men like him had fallen through the years, how many men died on foreign soil, how many pilots' planes shot down, how many foxholes were soldiers' graves. No, freedom is not free. I hear the sound of taps one night, when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play, and felt a sudden chill. I wondered just how many times that taps had meant amen. When a flag had draped a coffin of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, of the mothers and the wives, of the fathers, sons and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about a graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves in Arlington. No, freedom is not free. Do you remember? We're a buddy poppy. Thank you, veterans, for your service. May God bless you, and God bless the USA. Thank you.
I wrote the publicity that people within this town have done this to me and have killed my family. Kelly, please take this. Please protect my family. Please protect my family. Where's the police chief? People have done, people on the police chief,
excuse
the
me,
police have done this.
excuse me, please
I'm
sit
leaving
down.
I'm leaving now. I'm leaving now. People are hypocritical.
I'm hypocritical. You interrupt a solemn ceremony. Thank you, George.
You didn't even serve. Go sit down.
One thing Jim Wiltsey did mention was the work that was done around here on Saturday. I was up here with Captain Proudfoot of the Police Color Guard on Thursday morning, and it hadn't been touched, it looked like, since the winter. I saw Bob Mastroni that afternoon at Bunnell High School when we were going to a ceremony up there, and he said, "Don't you worry about it." I came up here, Joe Cremens was sitting out there, half the fire department was up here. They were working, a group of guys. I don't know everybody's name, but I can guarantee you that Bob Mastroni is hiding behind a bush or behind this monument. He will not ever want his name mentioned, but he is responsible, Fireman Joe Cremens, so thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
The co-founder and president of the Blue Star Mothers cannot be here tonight, or sat this morning. See, I'm all confused. An unfortunate, her 5-year-old granddaughter passed away a few days ago. And so she sent her very able assistant and vice president to represent her and the Blue Star Mothers. It's Marty Booth.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you to all the veterans and their families who are here today. I have a couple of parts of speeches that I found when I was looking to say something profound here today, because I just couldn't come up with anything myself. This is from Calvin Daughtry is his name, and it says, "Let us pause with respect and honor on this Memorial Day to remember those who fought, for those who gave their life, and for those who willingly stand ready today to do the same. Without question, when the defense of freedom calls on them, we owe each of them the highest regard, respect, and honor, and the assurance that their commitment to this nation's freedom will never be forgotten." I also want to take a chance to honor 5 soldiers whose names are tattooed on my son's arm. These young men gave their lives over in Iraq. They served with the Army. Staff Sergeant Todd Selge, Sergeant Nathan Barnes, Specialist Ray Bevel, Specialist Ryan Bishop, Specialist Jordan Shea, and Sergeant Casey Gazaway. They gave our lives for our country so that we may be here today. They served in Iraq with the 10th Mountain Division and the 2nd ID. One last thing. This is from a 3rd grader from Madison, Connecticut, which gives me hope to understand that the kids today understand and appreciate all of you. As the flowers rest on the decorated graves and the sunlight shines on the beautiful sailboats, Uncle Sam whispers in my ear about how we should care for the soldiers and remember the ones that have died. Swimming pools open, barbecues fry. Today is the day to think of what they have done for us. There are blurs of red, white, and blue marching down the street, and flags are lowered at half-mast. But we should always remember and never forget what set us free from this day on. Thank you.
She faked me out. Miss Sullivan is right there. Wave, Kathy. I make up a schedule of who's coming up to speak, and usually the commander of Post 9460 would speak right after I do. And usually he doesn't speak because he was in our 9460 Color Guard, which recently disbanded. So I didn't have him on the sheet. I'm going to talk, I'm not going to talk. So I said, geez, I just realized he hadn't spoke. So I'd like to introduce you now, the commander of Raymond T. Goldack, Post 9460, Mr. Robert Johnson.
Good morning to everybody. On behalf of the more than 500 members of the Post 9460 VFW, I want to wish you a happy and healthy Memorial Day. For 25 years, I was a member of the Color Guard, and I appreciate these men standing at parade rest on those hot bricks, so it's going to be short and sweet. I appreciate everybody else for keeping it short and sweet. During the day today, I only ask you one thing. When I was about the age of the young boys, and I say that young men, I should say, back there in the police cadet, trying to make up my mind which way, what to do with my life and where to go to college and so on and so forth, I received in the mail an invitation from Uncle Sam to go to the University of South Vietnam. I answered the call of duty like many of my fellow students and people my age. I remember today the few that I know that didn't make it back. I remember being on guard duty in Vietnam and just saying, Lord, I'm not meant to be President of the United States or something great and whatever, but I do promise you that if I get home in one piece, I'll do my part to be a good citizen, a good person, and I'm proud to say for the last 25 years and now the commander of Post 9460 serving veterans, and I will do so as long as I'm around. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I want to do, and if there's anybody out here in the circle around it, and my friend over here, she already started it without knowing. I had a good friend in Vietnam. I spent my first year in the Army with him, serving and training out in Fort Sill and Fort Collins, Colorado. Went to Vietnam. I made it back, he didn't. 45 years later, he was from the state of Washington. Funny how we met and we became great friends. I thought 45 years later on this beautiful day, I'd like to mention his name. Nobody will know from his family or whatever. But I think 45 years later, he's still in my heart, and I want to say the name, Sergeant Scott Tunison. I invite any of you that are here, your father, your uncle, your brother, just a fellow comrade, if you want to shout out his name, stand up and shout out his name so we remember that person today, please do so.
Private Michael Query died Christmas Day on leave by a drunk driver, and that was during Desert Storm. He came home on leave. He was home for a couple hours, and my brother Jimmy, he served in the tank division at Fort Hood, and he was murdered last year in Bridgeport, stabbed in the back by a non-citizen of this country, and I want to mention his name as well. All five of my family members served, and we were considered the band of brothers. And I want to thank this country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do you have a name? Oh, I thought
A good friend of mine from Iowa, my squad leader, Randy Lundy.
Bill Joy, World War II.
Then my son died in the Navy.
Gulf War.
Ronald Allen.
Okay, representing the town council, life member of Post 9460, was in the Navy, which I'm happy to say. So the Navy guy sitting out there. He was in Persian Gulf, and he is our, I'm not sure if I can get it right because they keep changing. I believe he's in District 2, where Stephanie used to be in District 2. Other members of the town council here are Stephanie Phillips, Jim Connor, Peter Massey, Paul Hoydick. If there's any others in the back, see me later. So Matt is representing the council and has a few words to say. Catalano. He's a friend of mine, so I just call him Matt.
Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, Dick. It is a great honor for me to stand here on Memorial Day and represent the town of Stratford, the 2nd District, and the town council as a whole. As Dick mentioned, I served in the United States Navy over a bunch of years, but served in the Persian Gulf in the 80s and early 90s. Today, and I told Dick, I said, you know, Dick, I'll keep it brief. And he said, thank you. And because normally I get a little long-winded, but I'll try to stay away from that today. These monuments here speak to what today is about, where truly our thoughts should be with those that have fallen. And I think anyone that has served anywhere in any theater knows exactly what that's about. Especially in this day and age of volunteer military. The men and women that volunteer to go overseas and put themselves in harm's way are special kind of people, and some of them don't make it home, and that's what Memorial Day is about today. These monuments stand in great honor of those men and women who gave their lives. And I have to give a shout out to Bob Mastroni and Tony Ross and Eddie Roberts and the guys from the fire department and everyone else that comes out and helps take care of this. This is one of the most special Academy Monument Hills in the state. We should all be very, very proud of that. And those guys do a lot of hard work up here, and they are not spring chickens. So let's give them all a round of applause. I had the honor of attending my great uncle Jack, Commander Jack Ermerins, lived to be 101 and went to his funeral service at Arlington National Cemetery last year. For anyone who's ever been there, and for those who haven't, if you go there, you cannot help but be overwhelmed with the human cost of war, and it puts a lot of things in perspective about how many people have been involved and how many people have given their lives for this great nation. And now today, we as a people have a responsibility to those that are returning, because we have many, many, many young people coming home, and not since the greatest generation who served 4 and 5 years in theaters around the world have we seen young men and women subjected to multiple tours, 4 and 5 tours. That's an unbelievable stress on a young person. So when we're paying attention to the guys that come home and missing limbs and have injuries and all that, we have to be very cognizant of those injuries you cannot see, because they're real, and we have to be responsible for our vets. And these young kids coming home are going to face a lifetime of issues that we need to be aware of and help them with. That's why groups like the Blue Star Mothers and one of my favorites, the Wounded Warrior Project, please support these groups and give. And as we're having our hot dogs and hamburgers today, let's remember that today is to remember to fall. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt Catalano. In case you didn't hear me. Just have a few more quick statements, except for one here. Our representative in Stratford, I'm not sure which district, 120, she's been in office a few years now. Ms. Laura Hoydick, who's the wife of the councilman I introduced you to before, Paul Hoydick. Laura?
Thank you, Dick, and it's an honor to be here today. I will be extremely brief as the day gets warmer and we have a parade to go to and we have people to see and people to remember. And that's why we're here to talk about those who have given that sacrifice to allow us to be here and to go to those picnics and go to those parades. One of the things the First District Commander Kennedy and I talked about on Thursday was, are our children going to remember the sacrifice and what it means? And when I reflected back on being on the Board of Education, doing PTA, and a PTA president at Second Hill Lane School, where Joe Demetta, as the principal, never once let a Veterans Day or a Flag Day or Memorial Day go by without having that teaching moment with his students and with his staff. So that gave me some good feelings that we are going to carry this forward. And as I look at Eli Whitney School and that beautiful field of poppies, and when I looked at, for the first time, Nichols School and the decoration on that fence, and I just wanted to applaud all the families and the staff and the teachers about how we're keeping Memorial Day special. Enjoy the day and God bless America.
Eli Whitney truly is an amazing. I have not seen Nichols, but Eli Whitney is. I had some of these veterans up there with me Thursday morning, putting the poppies in for the kids, and they even had a surprise visitor come up in a suit and tie, started pounding poppies on wet grass, and that was Mayor John Harkins. And I got a picture for you, so I can prove it. Greg, I need it in the paper so you can prove to people. Another member of the Connecticut government, and I might add, some people say, you know, we don't want politicians talking all day. These people work up there to go put veterans laws and bills into effect that affect us and affects everybody out here. And I know I talked to Laura at the breakfast the other day, and she's going to bring a couple of other members of the House and maybe the Senate to explain to any veterans. We'll do it down at Stratford Post. And there might be things you're missing that they can help straighten out. Our next speaker is in the Senate of the Connecticut, and I don't know that number either. From the 121st Senate District, our Senator Kevin Kelly.
First of all, I'd like to start by thanking Dick Kennedy and VFW Post 9460, as well as Mayor John Harkins for putting on, and anybody that else has been involved with this, for putting on this great event. I'd also like to thank everybody who is in attendance here today. Your presence is an honor to our veterans. And if there's one thing I recognize in going to the several towns that I've been to over the past couple days of Monroe and Shelton, Derby, is that Stratford is always here to honor its veterans. So thank you very much for being here. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance for our fallen heroes who sacrificed so much so that we may enjoy our freedom. On Memorial Day, I always ask myself the same question. Could I imagine living in a country without freedom of speech, religion, or expression? Could I imagine a world without liberty and justice for all? And my answer is always the same. No, I could not imagine that, a life without freedom, independence, and justice. Because freedom has become the norm, it can easily be taken for granted. Today we must all pause and recognize our blessings and our freedoms. Today is a day to express our sincere gratitude to the members of our military who make this all possible. Freedom is never free. The liberties we enjoy were paid for by the sacrifices of our service men and women in every risk, task, and mission that put them in harm's way. On this Memorial Day, we say thank you to those who have made sacrifice for us. Without those heroes, we would not know the same liberty, justice, and freedom we are so privileged to have. So, we need to be and to honor that sacrifice by being the good citizens, to responsibly exercise those freedoms and those privileges, and to recommit ourselves to our great national purpose, to ensure the blessings of liberty, not only to ourselves, but to our posterity. Thank you, veterans. Thank you all. May God bless you and your family, and may God always bless America.
Thank you, Senator. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the beginning, but this band back there, this is a combination of Flood and Worcester Junior High Schools under the direction, I believe, of Mr. Stephen Farrell right there. And I'm sorry, he never told me who you were. Steve, you can get all the credit, but he's doing all the work. And again, I would just like to thank these color guards for coming They've certainly filled in. Our color guard, as I said, disbanded. They disbanded with about 24 state championships like the last 15 in a row. They will be missed. There's usually one other person sitting up here before we get to the mayor. And we changed the time, which changed his schedule. And that's Senator Richard Blumenthal. And I talked to him a few times, and the last time was over the weekend. And he's going to be here. Not going to get here for this, but he's going to get here in time to jump in that parade. And I said, well, by the time you get here, you could be marching with kids. And he thought that was great because we had the little leagues and everything back there. So he will be around. You might see him at the end of the parade. You might see him back at post 9460 later. Okay, we got one more speaker. And that is our mayor. Wednesday, he's done things for our post, for veterans in general. Wednesday, this past Wednesday, for I don't know how many years he's been doing it, but it had breakfast for veterans. Any veteran that wanted to go, he bought one, he bought breakfast. I had to go late, and I couldn't get a doggy bag, but that's all right. But he's done a lot. He's done a lot for the town of Stratford. And be up here another 3 years at least with him. Please welcome Mayor John Harkins.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Stratford VFW, for organizing this event and putting it together, and of course the flexibility of the time. We all appreciate it. I'd like to thank our color guards, Stratford Police Department, Fire Department, American Legion, and of course the Marine Corps League. Thank you for participating today. And of course to our young musicians, thank you so much for the wonderful music that you provided. I'd like to thank you all for being here today. Our distinguished guests, Representative Hoydick, Senator Kelly, council members. Today we give pause from our busy lives to recognize the heroes of our nation, those who have selflessly made the ultimate sacrifice for our country in defense of our freedom. Thanks to the incredible bravery and heroic action taken by these men and women, we remain a free country, a beacon of liberty, hope, and freedom for all people across the globe. Originally known as Decoration Day and celebrated in commemoration of soldiers who died during the Civil War, Memorial Day is observed to recognize all soldiers who have died while serving our country and to thank their families, the wives, fathers, sons, and mothers who bear the most from their loved one's sacrifice. To celebrate, we often join together with family and friends to celebrate the kickoff of summer. However, the true meaning of Memorial Day is much more than that. It is a solemn reminder that freedom is not free. It is also a reminder of the American spirit, the ideals and values of our founding fathers that these heroes died in defense of. Since the American Revolution, more than 1 million soldiers have fallen while serving our nation. We will never forget their sacrifice and will always give thanks for their love of our country. Thanks to these patriots, our children can enjoy the freedom and liberties of generations past. Today, I would also like to thank our veterans and active members of the armed services. As brave men and women continue to sacrifice and serve our nation, we cannot forget their effort to protect our way of life. Thank you for joining me today to honor and commemorate our nation's fallen heroes. May God bless them and their families, and may God bless our great nation and town of Stratford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In case anybody's wondering, the young lady sitting next to him is Mrs. Jody Harkins. I'm sorry, Jody. I forget she's up there. Last year she was down in. Okay, we're almost done here, Captain. The formations, please render honor. I'm going to play taps.
On a guard, left hand, cut. Right shoulder, on. Reset,
Young bugler is Tom, and Tom, I told you I forget your last name. Petra High, from Bunnell High School, who volunteered. He heard me asking the music director of Bunnell for it, and he said, I'll do it. Here he is. As we did in the beginning, just take a moment, bow your head, and remember somebody that you've lost because of the war or just lost. Thank you. Captain, you may lead your troops through the arch. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. And your brother as well. That concludes our ceremony for today. I want to thank you all for coming. Now we still have the whole afternoon. Let's get into that parade. We're going to march up to Paradise Green. Give everybody you see, you're non-veterans, if you see a veteran, give them a shout out. Thank you very much for coming.